Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Man, out of service should mean off the road and out of service. What is going on in this world? We are having people taken out of service left and right, danger on the highways. We're going to talk about that in today's episode of the podcast, where we talk about out of service and what you can do as a driver. Before we get to that, though, let's start off with our friends over at Bison Transport, who won the safety award again this year. And they are looking for cross-border and owner-operators for their fleet. They will have sign-on bonuses until the end of March. Not sure if they're still going on when you're listening to this, but it'll be worth a call. And the best way to do that is to go to bisondriving.com and find out all the opportunities they've got going on, because I know you're going to want to miss it. Want to get involved with them. Bisondriving.com. They are looking for you. All right, let's get on with our show. Here we go.
Be sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
All right, so I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a recent article on LinkedIn here that was put up. They had a 2-day commercial vehicle enforcement blitz in Harnois, Alberta. Now, I know this also went on in the States. They sidelined the vast majority of trucks that were inspected, with only 3 of 37 units passing inspection. 3 of 37. A total of 26 vehicles. About 70% of those inspected were placed out of service due to critical defects. Another 8 required attention before returning to full compliance. In total, officers issued 44 provincial violation notices. Overall, 92% of inspected vehicles failed to meet inspection standards. And that was, let's see, who gave us that? Our friends over at Truck News had that. So that's on LinkedIn. I know I recently read one from friends in the States. I believe it was Trucker News or something. The same thing happened in New York. 47% of the vehicles put out of service. Folks, I don't know what's going on. You know we have issues in this industry. I know we have issues. We're talking about them right here. We're talking about Red Seal. But today we're just talking about out of service. What's going on? This is not new. You know, we're supposed to have better training. We're supposed to have better more technology, better news. It's not like this is new. It's not like you can't find the information. Back in the 70s, nobody even knew what a Schedule 1 was. But that's been out for a long time, so you should know all of this stuff. And, you know, it doesn't matter. We keep going on, well, we need more regulations or we need this. No, we need you to do your jobs. That's part of how this works. If you're a professional driver, this is one that you cannot miss. So, out of service is, in simple terms, out of service. A vehicle is driving legally prohibited from operating because it doesn't have all the right things. You guys know the Schedule 1. There's out of service criteria. There's certain elements that you're not allowed to drive. Others you can report them and carry on if you need to. The big ones that they're seeing out of service are, let's see, I'm going to go into this article to see what it said as far as what the actual out of service criteria were. If I can get it here. Hold on. Give me a moment. So this is Alberta. I know the same thing is happening in Ontario. I know the same thing is happening in the States. And it's gone crazy here. And, you know, we see this in, I'm in Burlington, Ontario. We see this a lot there as well, where they're just, you know, the critical defects. Like, I mean, I don't know. I know I'm a veteran driver. And I know that we've talked many times about, oh, you know, the light goes out. Oh, it just went out. Sometimes you can get away with that excuse depending on what it is. But I got to tell you, things like brakes out of adjustment, taillights, those things that will take you out of service are not things that normally go out of adjustment just like that or go out just like that. A lot of the ones that they had were brake violations, tire issues, hours of service violations, and load securement problems. These are the things that will really get you out of service in a hurry. And why we got electronic logs, we got automatic brake adjusters. To look at your tires shouldn't be that big a deal. Lights shouldn't be that big a deal. If you know what you're doing with load securement, that shouldn't be that big a deal. So why are we having them? What's going on with them? And why is this making our roads more dangerous? Well, I can tell you why it's making our roads more dangerous. Because if we got people who are not even not even qualified to get out of the yard. You're not even supposed to leave the yard, yet you're still driving down the road. And if you've ever seen a tire come off, or you've ever seen what the damage is of a tire that's on a vehicle that's rolling 100 kilometers an hour and then all of a sudden lets loose, you know the problem that we're having here. And equipment failure at those speeds just, it can hurt people, damage, vehicles, all that kind of stuff. So where's the problem lie? Where's the problem lie? Are we still in a day of tight timelines to get things delivered? I thought we had ELDs. I thought they were supposed to solve all of that problem. Why are we still battling with that? That ELDs should tell someone exactly where they are. Is it the driver shortage? Are we so short of drivers that you feel you cannot do your inspection? I don't think so. Is it company pressure or safety culture? Now that might be one. Or is it owner-operators with repair costs? Okay, I can give you that one, but if you're not repairing your vehicle, especially for the out-of-service criteria, then what are you doing? That is going to be your big problem right there. So what is the problem? We say that there's no enforcement. Well, they're doing it. They're cracking down everywhere. They're cracking down in Alberta. They're cracking down in Ontario. They're cracking down in the States. They're cracking down on all of this stuff. They're trying to get it. I've been to many conferences where the MTO is sitting there talking about, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Are there enough of them on the roads? I don't know. They're actually trying to do a hiring blitz right now. But really, you need to be, as a professional driver, doing your job, right? That's the whole idea. I just did a presentation not too long ago for a group of experienced drivers, and you'd be surprised. One thing I really harped on in that presentation was that after 10 years, complacency sets in very quickly. It could set in before that. But when someone's been doing the same job for over 10 years, they kind of have seen everything. They kind of have done everything, depending on their job scope, I guess. And they get complacent. They stop looking. And this is what I think that might be happening for some of the experienced guys, but I think it's happening more on the people who are not trained properly. And we've been talking about that in the industry for a long time. So for those of you that are doing it right, thank you very much. Really appreciate you getting in there and doing what you're supposed to be doing and making sure that you're doing correctly. It's frustrating. I know it's very frustrating. And of course, it's hurting our industry. It's hurting you as a driver, all of that kind of stuff. We come back, I'm going to tell you all about how you can maybe do better, get better solutions, all that kind of stuff. But before I do that, let me tell you about Harnois. Have you heard about this new truck stop opening in Woodstock, Ontario? That's right. Harnois Énergies is opening the new Woodstock truck stop on the 401, exit 230, Woodstock, Ontario. It's set to be open sometime in the near future. They're working hard on it, so we'll see what happens. But you want to make sure you get your SO fuel card so that you can get premium. They're going to have all kinds of stuff there. They're going to have fuel amenities for both propane and diesel. They're going to have a mechanic shop. They're going to have full-service restaurants. They're going to have convenience stores. They've got a CAT scale there. They're going to be doing all kinds of stuff for drivers to get them going. There's a truck wash not too there. So it's a great spot to have all kinds of stuff. So you want to make sure you get into that for sure. So check out harnoisenergies.com and go there, get your SO fuel card so that you can get right into that program once they open it up, because it will be open soon. All right, when we come back, I'll offer some solutions and accountability to get you going. Here we go.
By far my favorite station.
You're the best. Oh, yeah.
I love you guys.
All right, so let's talk about some of the criteria. Let's look at what are some of the solutions. How can we improve this? How can we get things going a little bit better? First of all, we do need stronger enforcement. Now, if you're a veteran, experienced driver like myself, we never always got along with enforcement. It's never been a kind of a playing field where we wanted to be in the same sandbox. We've always wanted, it's been us against them for the longest time, and it's changed. It's changed for a while because now the veteran drivers are getting a little afraid to be doing stuff. They're finding that it's really hurting their operations as well. So if we look at the enforcement that we need some enforcement follow-up. That is something the whole industry has been asking for in multiple places, from the inspection, the ministry here, and enforcement down the states, and then also from the government in general as far as taxes. And we're going to talk about Driver Inc. and all that in the next episode. But we need some enforcement and follow-up there. And I think they're hearing the message from what I've been hearing in a lot of different places. They are realizing that they need to do something. Better education and training, I think that goes as a given, but we've had so many fly-by-night schools come in over the years that now we don't know who's trained and who's not, which is one of the reasons we're talking Red Seal in the industry, to make sure that we get that people get the proper training and there's some kind of track record to see where people are. So this is going to be a big thing. Training is really on the bucket list, and it needs to be changed drastically. And a lot of associations are talking about this. So let's hope that they're getting the ear of the government as well. Encouraging drivers to speak up and refuse unsafe equipment. I think if you're a good driver, you're already working for a decent company, it's probably not a big problem for you. But if you were one of these people who are, and I just heard an episode on driving, well, I'll get into that next time because it really, but some drivers they don't actually know the difference. They don't know the difference between a good company and a bad company. So doing your homework as a driver and understanding where you're working and what you're doing is totally different. And then using technology. This is a way that, a lot of safety, we get data from everywhere. You get data from your truck going down the road. You get data from your ELD. You get data from your phone. You get data from your camera. You get data from everywhere. They know exactly where you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. What they don't understand is a lot of times looking at that data and going, how does this make the operation better? Instead of just harping down on, hard brakes or speeding or whatever it is, how can you use that data? Where is each individual maybe having more issues than the other? And using it not as a tool to punish, but as a tool to educate and say, here's where we need to improve and here's why we need to improve it. I know a lot of companies, their CVORs, even though they have an experienced team, their CVORs may be going in the wrong direction. And this is a lot of times because they are not, they're kind of going along as it's always gone on. And it's time to make some changes, folks. It's 2026. Things are getting harder. Things are getting better, worse in some cases, better in other cases. And we need to get back on the same page for that. So what can you do as a driver? Well, the best thing you can do as a driver is to do your pre-trip inspections. Do thorough pre-trip inspections. Know your vehicle. Don't assume that because you drive the same truck that yesterday was the same one. I know that I didn't always do, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite talking because when I was running the highway, I had the same truck and the same trailer all the time for the most part. So did I do the full inspection at one time? I did it throughout the day. And I don't know, if you think of an inspection, it's good for 24 hours. Now, they want you to do the same thing half hour, but sometimes that doesn't always make sense, especially if your truck's been running overnight, because it's cold or whatever it is. Sometimes it's best to break it up. As long as you do that inspection within the 24 hours, I think is where it gets. So, we may all check tires, we may all check lights every time we get out, but maybe you're only, opening the hood once a day to stop for fuel or whatever. That's the time to maybe do those checks. Maybe, if another time you're doing all the brakes, like as long as you can. I think we got to change the mindset of we must do this all the time. Now, it's supposed to be working before you, so maybe you do critical items before you go, and then things like oil and stuff you do when you stop. I know I used to split up that way. I'm not saying you should not do it that way or do it that way. I'm saying you've got to inspect that vehicle to make sure it's roadworthy and not out of service every 24 hours. But there's a different mindset that goes on that. So doing proper pre-trips is the one thing. Reporting unsafe equipment. I know this is still a thing that I'm hearing in safety meetings where people are struggling with, especially us older guys, where it's, we used to put, nothing's wrong with the truck. And now they're telling you to put it down even if it's, not a violation that'll take you out of service. Reporting it. This, again, is paper trail. Once you've been on the other side, if you've been in safety or operations, there's a whole paper trail part that makes this make makes sense. And if the maintenance facility has work orders and there's parts bought and they're writing this off, but there's no record of being a request for a repair, this gets to be kind of a problem. Plus, if someone's not repairing their vehicles because you've written it off for many days in a row, then that means there's a problem on the inside as far as the repairs go, and maybe not for you as a driver. So reporting unsafe equipment, you're reporting if it's if it's still able to drive, but reporting that needs to be fixed. And then think about your license and your reputation. We're going to talk about this later in the month, the reputation part, because I talk about personal brand as a driver, but protect your license. Okay. When you go out of service, when the CVOR follows you company to company. So if you think, okay, I'm going to leave that bad company, I'm going to go over here to this good company, the good company may not hire you because they see your CVOR from the last one. That CVOR follows you around. It's, even if you have no moving violations, out of service, logbooks, all those kind of things move with you on your CVOR from company to company. So you really want to make sure you're protecting that, and don't let a company ruin your whole career because they don't feel like doing things wrong. Message to companies: safety comes before profit. If you are thinking that you're going to just kind of side skirt what the operations are and go on down the road and not pay attention to safety, then we prefer you to go somewhere else, somewhere where you won't hurt thousands of people when you have an accident on the highway, or a place where you won't put everybody in jeopardy because you don't feel like doing your services that when you're supposed to. Please go do something else. Go do anything else. Something that won't hurt anybody. Go, just go do something else if you're not prepared to put in the work that we need in 2026 to be kind of the kind of company that should be on the road. So out of service, it means off-road. It means out of service. And this is one of the big criticals. When you do this one, folks, this flags you for a long time. Out of services don't disappear on your record, your CVOR, very, very easy. So what's the big problems? Okay, make sure that you're checking your truck every day. Make sure that you're paying attention to your stats and technology and stuff. Use it to your advantage. Don't be afraid of enforcement. Start to embrace it a little bit and go, you know what? Hey, by us going through, getting clean inspections, it means we can move on. Remember the sticker days? That's what we're looking for, right? And then get into that. So before we go, I want to just tell you a little bit about our friends over at Compliance Mentorz. If you're a company and you're looking to get your safety operation in gear better, then Compliance Mentorz, starting with an audit, might be the best place to do that. They'll come to you. They work clear across the country. They'll come in. They've got all kinds of audits they can do depending on so you know where you need to improve. Why have a safety record when there's so many tools available to you? That's an easy one. Join us for the next episode. We're going to be talking about Driver Inc. and why that's still a problem in the industry, why we're still talking about it in the industry. That's going to be in our next episode, part 2 of this. So join us on the Lead Pedal Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on wherever you're listening to us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Let us know what you think about out-of-service criteria and the conversation there. What can we do better as drivers in today's industry? Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.